Long ago, in an ancient and mysterious land, there lived a man whose name echoes through the centuries: Elijah, the prophet. His life was marked by miracles and revelations, but no event was as impressive as his ascension to heaven in a chariot of fire. Elijah, a humble man, was chosen by God to confront kings and false prophets, challenging the forces of evil with unwavering courage and faith. His encounters with the wicked King Ahab and the feared Queen Jezebel are legendary, but it was his final encounter, on Mount Carmel, that left an indelible mark on human history. In this epic showdown between Elijah and the prophets of Baal, the fire of God descended from heaven and consumed the prophet's offering, demonstrating the power of the living God before false deities. And when triumph was complete, Elijah was taken up by a chariot of fire. Elisha, his faithful disciple, saw Elijah depart and received his blessing. This is the story of an ordinary man chosen by God to accomplish extraordinary feats. In this video, you will discover the secrets behind the incredible story of the prophet Elijah. Subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. Elijah was not just a man of words. His physical endurance was remarkable. Defying King Ahab, he announced a great drought. His journey was marked by powerful acts and divine interventions. After confronting Ahab, God led him to the brook Cherith, where he was miraculously sustained by ravens. As it is written, "You will drink from the brook, and I have directed the ravens to supply you with food there." 1 Kings 17 verse 4, his story takes us on a path of faith and miracles, from the valleys of Gilead to the lands of Zarephath. Along his journey, he encounters lepers crying out for mercy and a widow facing scarcity. Through his faith in the power of God, he brings hope and miracles to those he encounters, as it is written, "For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says, the jar of flour will not be used up and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land." 1 Kings 17 verse 14, his experiences teach us about the importance of trusting in God even in the darkest moments, and how he is faithful to provide for those who follow him with sincerity of heart, as it is written, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." Matthew 6 verse 33. On Mount Carmel, Elijah faces a dramatic challenge between true faith and idolatry. His courage and confidence in God are tested before a divided crowd. The confrontation culminates in an impressive miracle, revealing the power and glory of the Lord before all. As written in 1 Kings 18 verse 21, Elijah addressed the people, saying, "How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal is God, follow him." But the people said nothing. Finally, after a day of challenges and demonstrations of power, Elijah prayed to the Lord, and fire from heaven consumed the burnt offering, the wood, the stones, and even the soil, drying up the water that had been poured over the altar. Then the people fell prostrate and exclaimed, "The Lord, he is God. The Lord, he is God." 1 Kings 18 verse 39. After the victory on Mount Carmel, Elijah faces the wrath of Jezebel and seeks refuge in the wilderness. There, under the shade of a broom bush, he expresses his despair to God. In his weakness, he is strengthened by divine care and sent on a journey to meet the Lord on Mount Horeb. As recorded in 1 Kings 19 verse 4, Elijah said, I have had enough, Lord. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." Yet God did not abandon Elijah. He sent an angel to comfort him, giving him food and water. And, as written in 1 Kings 19 verses 7 to 8, the angel said, "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." So Elijah got up and ate. Strengthened by divine sustenance, Elijah continued his journey toward Mount Horeb, where the Lord would speak to him. The transition from Elijah to Elisha echoes the sacred events narrated in the biblical scriptures, reminding us of the importance of spiritual leaders passing the baton to the next generation. Just as Moses passed his authority to Joshua, Elijah passes his mantle to Elisha, symbolizing the transfer of responsibility and divine power. My son, the Lord has sent me to call you," Elijah said solemnly, lifting his mantle. "I will follow you, my master," Elisha replied, determination in his eyes, as recorded in 1 Kings 19 verse 19. The gesture of casting the mantle upon Elisha evokes the story of Elijah ascending to heaven in a whirlwind of fire, narrated in 2 Kings 2 verse 11. This event not only validates Elisha's choice as successor, but also demonstrates divine intervention in the transition of leadership. Like Elijah, Elisha is called to serve the Lord with fervor and devotion, following in his master's footsteps. He received this mantle as a symbol of God's call upon you. He proclaimed Elijah, as the mantle fell upon Elisha's shoulders, as described in 2 Kings 2 verse 13. Elisha's willingness to leave everything behind and follow Elijah reflects Jesus' call to his disciples to leave everything and follow him, as recorded in Luke 9 verse 23. This voluntary renunciation illustrates the importance of prioritizing service to God over worldly interests, paving the way for a journey of faith and obedience. "You do not look back, but forward. Follow me," she instructed Elijah, echoing Jesus' words in Luke 9 verse 62. Elisha's story also reminds us of the importance of receiving and multiplying divine knowledge. In Proverbs 4 verse 7, it is said, "The beginning of wisdom is this, get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding." Just as Elijah invested in Elisha, imparting to him his knowledge and experience, spiritual leaders are called to invest in the next generation, empowering them to continue God's work on earth. Therefore, the transition from Elijah to Elisha reminds us of the importance of passing on the spiritual legacy and preparing future leaders to serve the Lord with zeal and dedication. The confrontation between Elijah and Ahab reveals divine justice against injustice and corruption. Elijah denounces the sins of the king and prophesies severe consequences for his house and Queen Jezebel. This confrontation highlights God's sovereignty over earthly kingdoms and the importance of obedience to his will. The story of the confrontation between Elijah and Ahab reminds us that God is the righteous judge who does not tolerate sin and that he always fulfills his promises, whether for good or for judgment. Ahab's repentance in the face of Elijah's words shows God's mercy even in the face of the deepest human depravity. God's response to Ahab's repentance postpones judgment on his house, demonstrating God's readiness to forgive and restore those who turn to him. Ahab's repentance reminds us that no matter how far we have fallen, there is always hope in God's forgiveness and restoration if we turn to him wholeheartedly. This also reminds us of the consequences of sin and the importance of faithfulness to God. It underscores the need for humility before the Lord and the certainty that his justice will prevail. This biblical story inspires us to seek true faith and to obey God's will, even in the most challenging circumstances. Elijah's story teaches us about the importance of commitment to truth, even when faced with opposition or persecution. His courage and determination to confront evil and stand firm in his faith are powerful examples for all of us. Furthermore, Elijah's journey reminds us of the importance of obedience and trust in God, even when circumstances seem impossible. His experiences show us that God is faithful to fulfill his promises, and that he is capable of performing miracles beyond our understanding. Therefore, as we reflect on the story of Elijah, we are challenged to live lives of courage, faith, and obedience, trusting that God is always by our side, empowering us to face any challenge we may encounter. If these lessons resonate with you, consider subscribing to the channel for more inspiring content, and don't forget to leave a like to help us reach more people with these messages of hope and faith.